So my childhood was not one that you would expect for most children.
You know, it was pretty chaotic. There was a lot of alcoholism and really unhealthy, toxic relationships everywhere.
There was a lot of sexual abuse, there was a lot of drug usage happening, and then my mom had a short temper.
Wake up at 3 a.m. to see what the scuffle is, and come up to my dad swinging my mom around or throwing furniture around the house. I knew I wanted more in life, and I knew that it was obvious that I had to get as far away from them as possible.
I was in love with the idea of love, and he was my high school sweetheart.
Interested in me right off the bat and very all about me, and kind of just made me feel really special.
This is going to be my ever after, and I'm going to be different than the history that my family has had. I've changed my course.
He's talking about, yes, we're going to get married, and you're this and you're that, and saying all of the right things.
I remember thinking that he was going to be my best friend, and that he was going to be there through everything. And it was very short-lived.
It was kind of slow things, like little arguments that would come up out of nowhere.
Then it was hitting me or grabbing me too tightly.
He just had this look in his eyes, and he just reached in and just whacked me across the face.
And before too long, it's normal.
I just kind of kept going on and just chalked it up to that's what happens when you're in a relationship. We were married for about 5 years before Ella came along.
And then when she was born, I thought, like, he's gonna have that moment that you see on TV. It clicks and they love their child, and it's just that aha moment.
So it seemed like he wanted to be a really good dad. But then his behaviors said something totally different.
Once we got home alone, it was like if she cried, it was annoying. And he would snap and yell. And I remember watching him go to grab her car seat because he was so angry, or getting in her face and telling her to shut the F up. She was a newborn. I don't understand how anyone has that in them to shout at a child that way.
I had her car seat down here, and he had ended up kind of pinning me against the wall with his hand on my neck. And he was really squeezing tightly at this point. I looked down at this infant in her car seat, and she's looking straight up at us, just totally transfixed. And her eyes are huge, and she looks terrified. And it was in that moment where I realized I could see myself in her when I was a kid. And I remember, being on the sidelines, of my parents fighting and trying to stop that and what that felt like. And I could just see, flashes of all of those moments when I was a kid through her eyes, and realizing that I'm now giving that to her, and I'm now putting her in that position.
I knew that I couldn't do it on my own, but I also knew that it was okay to ask for help. But it took me a long time to accept that I needed help, and I was afraid of being that girl.
It started sticking with me that, this is abuse and this is not okay, and if I don't want to pass on that legacy, then I need to do something different now. And I didn't want her to feel as broken inside as I did. I can't even remember who it was that was talking to me, but they mentioned there's this organization called the Women's and Children's Alliance, and they help people that are in similar situations, and I'm not sure what all they do, but you should probably give them a call.
Those steps were the hardest steps I've ever climbed in my entire life. Not because the building is scary or because you walk in and there's no one there to help you. It's because you are admitting that there's been a problem for however long it's been there.
We can actually shed this now. We have room to breathe, and we can recover. And I can be there more for her, and I'm not going to be constantly trying to just clean up last week's mess. And now we can move forward.
The environment that is provided there for children is very opening and understanding and caring.
I didn't have daycare. I couldn't afford a babysitter. So when I needed to go in for my counseling or, any other thing, to have childcare there was a huge relief.
I actually got to watch and record my daughter's first steps at the WCA in the childcare because I was able to take the time to regroup myself after a session and go back in there and watch her play.
I knew that he's not going to storm in and pick her up somewhere, that there are protections in place to be able to move. This is a safe place.
The WCA gave her a mom who was actually going to be present and be there and have every moment recorded down to her very first haircut, taking her very first bite on her own. I got to do all that because they allowed me to.
It's just a different level of stability that it seems really normal, but I think people take it for granted because when you're not that kid, that's just all you want. That's all you ever want. So it means a lot to be able to give that to her.